Hi, my name is Alfonso Molina, Project Manager in CityLogin. CityLogin is a logistics service provider dedicated to eco-friendly last-mile solutions in Spain, based in Madrid. Next few minutes, I will tell you how Madrid physical LEAD pilot implementation is seen on the point of view of a logistics service provider. First, I will talk about the model of PPP selected for the implementation and how was selected the place where finally the test is running. Secondly, I will talk about the adaptation needed for last mile operation in the facility selected. Last point, I will talk about how exactly it works and next step planned. It took 3 months from the start of the paperwork to obtain the pertinent permissions in order to start operating. The type of contract selected was a transfer of use of the space, just for the cross-docking operation, and just for the duration of the project. A zero cost is established during the development of the project, and a future negotiation of a monthly rental price once it is finished. The cost of adaptation necessary for facilities and preventive measures are assigned space as borne by the operator, by us. At the beginning of the project, first step was to select the correct place to run the pilot. EMT defines several parking facilities where it can be possible to operate, and the entire consortium select between 3 different places. One place was near E30 road that circles Madrid city center, another one just in the middle of the city in Plaza Mayor, and the last one was a place in near city that is San Fernando de Henares. Consortium selected Plaza Mayor as the best to run the pilot, due to the situation just in the low emission zone area, close to the final deliveries, and not the space to operate with the amount of package forecasted, and of course the possibility to implement new last mile solutions like pickup points for the local stakeholders. The chosen facility had a use of storage and inspection of vehicles for mobility agents. The first action for the adaptation of the space was just to clean all the premises. We also removed all vents for vehicles and all used heating inside. Then we add on the electrical installation, also in the lighting resources and fire and air installation. Finally, the office was painted, adapted, and we installed 2 new charge points for electrical vehicles on the exterior wall, and also new conventional outlets distributed inside the premises. These are several photos about the previous state of the premises. And next, when the premises are already adequate to the operation. Here you can see the charge point in the right side. Now I will explain how we run the pilot. First step is the collection of the packets, just from retailers to San Fernando CityLogin principal warehouse. Next, in San Fernando, we classify the packets that target low-emission postal codes. When all the packets are already classified, we run the last mile solution software to create the routes for electrical light vehicles and classify it by VBAGs. After that, the VBAGs are loaded in a transfer run to the Plaza Mayor microhub. It allows us just to operate in the microhub with less space, because no last classification is needed there, and also allow us to decrease time needed for drivers to collect the packets. Once the packets arrive at facility, the cross-docking operation starts, and each driver gets its specific route assigned and starts the distribution. Once the finish of all the round assignment comes back to Plaza Mayor and leaves the packets that cannot be delivered and collections done. CityLogin collects the merchandise from its clients early in the morning, normally before 8 a.m. Once they are collected, as I told you, the shipments are classified and the distribution routes are created. Traffic managers ensure the correct allocation of routes and the merchandise received and the distribution begins. The teams distribute in their assigned areas and are monitored at all times by the traffic manager. Once the delivery of the assigned task is completed, they return with the merchandise collected or that is not being possible to deliver. The traffic chief checks the final status of the delivery and closes the delivery route. Traffic managers classify returned packets in three kinds or types: rescheduled, rejected, and collected. Rejected and collected are loaded in a towing vehicle once a day, just from the unloaded from the routes of the day, and the packages are returned to San Fernando. The rescheduled ones are included in the planning for next day's distribution. These are the collection point San Fernando facilities. Now you can see the vehicle selected for the pilot. And last, we will talk about the next steps. Next step in PPE agreement with local administration of a fee for the use of the space once the project is finished. Another step will be increased use of space by adding new customer flows to optimize work for volumes and get the most out of the kingdom. Next objective we have is just to generate new business models involving the local stakeholders, for example, installing lockers or public charger access to electrical private vehicles. And for last point is to create a network of micro-hubs that allow distribution with light electrical vehicles in more areas and high concentration inside the M30. That's all from my side. Thank you to see my presentation. Best regards.